Welcome to Week 4's Big Ass Coin Picks. Last week saw the Massive Brain take Week 3 and take a 1-week lead over the Big Ass Coin. So this week's are particularly important for the Big Ass Coin. By this time next week, the Big Ass Coin will either be tied again with the Massive Brain or 2 weeks behind. But before getting to this week's coin, a quick note on our background for this week. With the advent of fall, it seemed fitting to use the fall classic Peanuts cartoon of Lucy pulling the football out from the Massive Brain. I mean, Charlie Brown. It never gets old. This week's Big Ass Coin is from the U.S. Navy's Reconnaissance Counter-Narcotics Squadron, the Night Wolves. The Night Wolves operate out of New Orleans, where they work with the DEA and the U.S. Coast Guard, patrolling the Caribbean for drug runners. And while we're on the subject, did you know that the U.S. Navy is active in counter-narcotics operations, yet they cannot arrest drug owners? It's true. The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 prevents the U.S. military from being used as a police force, but the U.S. Coast Guard is exempt from this act. So what the Navy does is they'll have a Coast Guard officer on their ship as part of a law enforcement detachment, and when an arrest needs to be made, the Coast Guard officer will make the actual arrest. So if the Navy ever pulls you over on the high seas, you can flip them the bird and be safe knowing they can't arrest you. But they can kill you though, so maybe that's not your best course of action. For this week's coin, the heads will be the side that shows the Night Wolf logo, and the tails will be the side with the ship and eagle. And here we go with the fourth week's picks. Okay, here's a copy of this week's coin, and this is going to be the heads, the front of the Night Wolves, and this will be the tails, the back of the coin. And starting off with this week's first game, it's the Chicago Bears hosting the Carolina Panthers, and the flip, out of the stadium, off to a bad start. Here we go. Here's the flip. It's heads, Chicago. All right. Get that recorded here. And move on to our next game, Cincinnati, Buffalo. Now the odds makers on this have Buffalo by 3 in Cincinnati. Boy, I don't know. I guess the odds makers are not believers in the Buffalo story yet. So let's see. Let's see what the coin says. Coin says Buffalo. I think I'm going to have to agree with them on that one. I think the Bills might be for real this year. Our next game features Tennessee Titans visiting the Cleveland Browns. The odds makers have it at Cleveland by 1.5 points. That's a pretty close game. I think we're going to have to let the coin decide on that one. Oh, it goes with Cleveland. Cleveland will take the inconsequential bowl. Okay, here we go. Here's the game of the week. Dallas Cowboys hosting the Detroit Lions. Now, this one is kind of interesting because Detroit's on a roll and Dallas isn't doing much but kicking field goals. And yet, the odds makers have Dallas by 1.5. I don't know. I mean, that's not showing a lot of faith in the 3-0 Lions, and maybe a little bit too much faith in Dallas. You know, I don't know if I think I would have to take Detroit on that one. Let's see what the coin believes. Oh, that was not even close. Here we go. Heads goes with Dallas. Dallas will take Detroit this weekend. Don't know if I can agree with that. This game's not so great this year, but believe it or not, this is a replay of Super Bowl IV, I think it is. Chiefs and Vikings. And here's another little factoid that the Chiefs were actually the losing team in the very first Super Bowl versus Green Bay. Today, Minnesota is favored by 1.5 points, and the coin is flipped. Can you see that? Well, you're going to have to trust me on this one. I'm going to move the coin a little bit. Where the hell did it go? Alright, well, yeah, it's lost here. It's under the paper. But trust me when I tell you, it is a heads. It was a heads. It is a heads. And it will remain a heads. Ah, wow. First controversy in the big-ass coin flip. Goes with Kansas City, nevertheless. Okay, St. Louis Rams hosting Washington Redskins. Redskins did not look so impressive against Dallas on Monday night. Then again, the Rams haven't looked that impressive anywhere. So they're going with 1.5 points for Washington. Yeah, I think Washington will take it. But the coin says otherwise. Goes with St. Louis. Okay, Philadelphia, San Francisco. Philadelphia, I don't think is living up to its potential here. The so-called dream team. San Francisco, kind of a hard luck story. I can't remember if they won last week or not, but they did lose that heartbreaker to Dallas. This week, the odds makers have Philadelphia by 8.5. I don't know. I don't know which way to go on that. Whoop. Let's see if the coin does. The coin is going to take Philadelphia and give 8.5 points. That is a lot of points. Okay, rolling along here. New Orleans going to Jacksonville, where New Orleans is favored by a touchdown. I think New Orleans, in my opinion, is probably one of the best teams this year. They've been scoring a lot of points. I don't think Jacksonville's been all that impressive. I'm going to lean personally towards New Orleans on this. The coin, on the other hand, will... Ah! Ouch. Let's try that again. Okay. The coin's going to go with New Orleans as well. Good pick, coin. Good pick. Okay, second half here is going to have Pittsburgh going to Houston, where Houston is a 4-point favorite. I don't have any idea what's going to happen there, but the coin does. And the big-ass coin goes with Houston. Houston. Okay, next game. New York Giants visiting do I have this right? New York Giants versus coming to Arizona. And the odds makers have New York by 1.5. Now remember, Arizona can control whether they play under the lights or under the sky. I don't know if that psychological factor is worth something or not, but here we go. The coin says yes, it is. Arizona. I don't know. Don't know. Me and the coin don't always agree. In fact, we don't agree much. And now we've got Atlanta going to Seattle, where Atlanta is favored by 4.5. Now, again, I would say Atlanta's a better team than that, and Seattle's a worse team than that. Let's see what the coin thinks. And the coin agrees with me. It's going with Atlanta. Okay. This is the most lopsided game of the week according to the odds makers. Denver Broncos rolling into Green Bay. Green Bay at 12.5 point favorite. 12.5 points. That's the biggest spread this week between any two teams. And the coin is flipped. And it doesn't land right. We'll try it again. Ah, man, that hurts the ears. Okay, let's try it again. It's tails. It's Denver. Yeah, 12.5 points. That's a lot, but Green Bay's been rolling them up too. Okay, here is our second game of the week, and that is New England in Oakland. And if you recall, Oakland beat, who did they beat? I thought they beat the Jets last week. I'm not sure about that. Let's see if the record shows. Let the record show that I cannot find it. Oakland did beat the Jets last week. And New England got beat by Buffalo last week in New England. So the fact that the odds maker have New England by 4.5, I don't know. I think Oakland may be surprisingly better than most people think. And the coin agrees. Okay, Miami, San Diego. The only question here is, how big will San Diego win? The odds makers say by 7 in San Diego. I think they can do better than that. And so does the coin, San Diego. New York Jets versus the Baltimore Ravens. That's a pretty good game. Baltimore is favored by 3.5, probably because the Jets got beat last week. Yeah, it's hard to argue with. I got no problem with that spread. And the coin had a little bit of indecision there, but it did pick Baltimore. And now for our final game, Indianapolis and Tampa Bay. And this one's Tampa Bay by 10 points. I think Tampa Bay did not win the spread last week, and Indianapolis did. Tough call, but the coin is up for it. And the coin goes with Tampa Bay. So there's this week's picks. Brought to you by the Night Wolves. Thank you very much. And here's the pick summary. The BigAssCoin's picks are highlighted in gold. Gold as in golden. Well, let's hope so anyway. Be sure to check back next Tuesday for Week 4's results of the Massive Brain versus the BigAssCoin. And finally, an appeal for more coins. My supply has run out, so click on the Show More tag below this video for the address to send in your coin. And now, cue the music.